Good morning, everyone. Hi, Fox 10 Talks here on YouTube and on our Fox Local app. And it's Syleste Rodriguez and
Kenzie Beach. Thanks for having me, Celeste, this morning.
Hey, Kenz. It's good to see you. We are going to get started in just about a minute or so. And I know plenty of you on YouTube are listening and watching this morning. I just chimed in the chat and said, good morning, friends. Good to see you here. It's Syleste and Kenzie. So if you guys let us know where you're watching from this morning. I know we have a lot of FTT fans on here, but if you're new to the chat, we would love to hear from you and how it's going. We have a couple of big topics that we're talking about: grocery prices, coffee prices, Kenzie.
I love a good coffee in the morning.
I do too. We also are talking about some fees that could potentially be added to rentals here in Arizona to help pay for a number of different items. And we're 10 seconds away, and we'll see you in just a few moments.
What an intro. Love it.
All right, and we are on, and we are back. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Syleste here with you, and
Kenzie Beach. Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Yeah, Kenzie, so great to have you here this morning.
It's the middle of the week. We're halfway through.
Yes.
Hump day. Mm-hmm. It's a great day.
Yeah, and we are going to help you get along on your way. We're going to go first, though, to some breaking news that we have for you this morning, something that we're watching. This is in the area of Baseline and Priest. This is at a gas station. So what you see, plenty of different we have a SWAT team, and I think we have a couple of other different police vehicles that you can see. It's a very big crime scene. This is a situation that took place, just within the last 30 minutes or so. It is a Circle K, and there is a police situation ongoing. There's a vehicle underneath that, the awning, I guess you could call it, for the gas stations. And there were investigating, we don't know why or what happened, but a couple of the individuals that happened to be inside that vehicle. And you can't see much because we've kind of zoomed out a little bit, and there's a closer look there at Skyfox that's overhead. So this is right at that corner. I believe it's kitty corner to the Arizona Mills Mall.
And what we're looking at right now, you can see that two SWAT trucks, it looks like, kind of cornered in that smaller vehicle right at that gas pump. And it's not typical that we see an entire gas station completely closed off in crime scene tape. They have all the entrances closed down. Another thing I thought was interesting, before Skyfox showed us this, you could see the massive fuel truck was there refueling. So it's probably kind of caught in that as well. But a massive scene, but it kind of seems like they're focused on that car on the right side of your screen, where you see multiple SWAT trucks kind of closing in on that car.
Yeah, it's right at that turnoff there as you are entering the town of Guadalupe, south of Baseline Road and Priest. In the vehicle, I was watching for a few moments before we started here with all of you on FTT, and there was a couple of individuals in that vehicle. We don't know the extent of injuries or what happened or why they were being pulled over or why a SWAT team was called in. But we'll make sure that we keep an eye on this image. We'll get back to these images in just a brief moment, but we wanted to make sure that we were covering breaking news happening here in Phoenix. And we know that a lot of you are also watching from not just here in Phoenix, but all around the country and the world even.
Which makes it so fun.
It does. Absolutely. And we are glad to be here with you. Ron is off this week, and so Kenz is in here hanging with me. It's so great to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of fill that spot. I know I come in and chat with you guys quite a bit, but we'll be here the next hour. So like Syleste said, join us in the chat and ask us your questions, but we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today.
We do. We have a big topics when it comes to grocery prices, coffee prices, two things that I think are pretty important.
Yeah, for everyone. It doesn't matter what you're shopping for. Everyone is pretty much going to the grocery store, and we all kind of notice the prices that, whether they're going up. I feel like we talk about eggs a lot or milk, but coffee's a big one. We need our caffeine. Do you go and get coffee from a coffee shop, or you make coffee at home?
I actually make coffee at home, and as of late, I found a really good instant espresso.
You got to share it with us.
I will. And I may even have a photo on my phone phone that I can pop up in a little bit. Let's go right to this. We're talking grocery prices. If you are in the chat this morning, let us know what's it like for grocery prices for you and your community. What have you found to be the most expensive item that has risen in price the most? Right now, nationwide anyways, the new information coming in is that rising beef and coffee prices are keeping grocery bills really high. According to a recent government data, costs for retail ground beef and steaks have spiked nearly 16% from last year. So we're talking just 1 year. That's
I've
a huge
noticed
jump.
that. Me and my husband, we get a lot of our steaks at Costco, which wholesale, great. But
they have good steaks there.
Amazing steaks.
Yes.
But I'm noticing kind of everywhere. It doesn't matter where you shop. Steak is just costing more.
It really is. And many of you, he says, Troy says he's got Ron withdrawals. Check him out on Instagram, Hooner
Don't
Fox
worry,
10.
he'll be back. He's just taking a little vacay.
And Buddha Sheep, Kenzie has been here. Kenzie, how long have you been here?
Over 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
You worked in the evenings.
Yep, did evenings, dayside, fill in on mornings here and there, do a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
so you never know when I'm going to pop up on your screen.
Linda Monterth, good morning to you. Thomas Brown, good morning. And Buddha Sheep, Troy, good morning. And of course, the rest of you as well who haven't chimed in. Little philosophy, yo. This morning, President Trump prioritized lowering beef prices last fall. He was saying, we got to do something about this. But unfortunately, those costs have continued to rise following weakened financial conditions for ranchers. So we were talking about beef rising 16%, but coffee has also risen.
I'm noticing it with coffee beans. Just it doesn't matter what you buy.
I know.
I'm like, can I pick a lower option? But I like the good coffee.
Even the cheap version is like expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah. There was, to let you know, there was like kind of an instant espresso that I found at Costco for $14. Been using it for 2 months.
And you like it?
And it's really good.
Well, it's
and
always good because you can get it in bulk too.
And I just add a little bit more water. So it kind of turns into like the fancy, like Americano, quote, and air quotes. So coffee prices and beef prices are keeping some of those prices very high. And Troy, you're absolutely right. He says you can't go to the store and not spend $100.
It's so true.
I know. It seems as though, my goodness, it's like, and especially if you have a growing family, you got big kids. I'm making like 3 pounds of ground beef on any given night with 3
For
teenagers.
Me, it's keeping my husband fed.
Yeah.
That's why I shop at Costco.
That's important. That's important, Kenzie. Master's Choice Instant, Thomas Brown says, I'll have to try that one next. And Troy says, if I spend $50, it feels like hitting the lottery.
I think that's so true.
It's
almost like I sometimes resort to an online shopping cart because I can see what exactly is going in there. And then I might go through the cart and edit out what other items I don't need. But if you're in person, you're always going to buy more than
I totally
need,
agree.
Right?
I feel like, especially if you have kids in tow or if you're in a rush, you're like, I'll take that,
and those snacks. And those,
that looks really good. But if you purchase things online or for pickup, I feel like I can stick to a budget.
Edit the cart a little bit more.
Absolutely. So grocery prices have risen. Thanks for all your thoughts on this. So Thomas Brown says shopping in bulk at Costco helps, and America's discount grocery stores. We do have a couple of those around.
Yeah.
In the West Valley, we have Peoria. There's like a Peoria grocery discount mart, and I've purchased coffee there, and it was like $15 for this huge bag.
And you get it in bulk. You're going less. You're getting more bang for your buck.
You know what? The governor just a couple of days ago had her State of the State address.
Yeah.
And she was sharing a little bit, of course, on affordability and inflation. She talked about housing, and then she brought up an interesting concept because, of course, we're trying to bring money into the government. She talked about adding these fees to rental properties.
Oh, yeah.
Then
so we got a lot of rentals here in Arizona.
Yep. So it's like the VRBOs and the Airbnbs. And so those people would then pay. It's almost like a tourism tax, I feel like, right?
Especially cities like Scottsdale, you see a ton of those Airbnbs, VRBOs, whether it's for bachelorette parties. It's kind of popular destination.
I'm glad you brought that up. Isn't the bachelorette party scene like on fire here in
I guess it's like one of the hot spots in the country. Good for tourism, like you say. So maybe if that tax is part of that, kind of kicks back.
Next thing you know, we're going to have a Chippendales right here in Scottsdale because there's so many bachelorette parties here. Let's take a listen to what Governor Hobbs had to say on this issue.
Asking vacationers to kick in $3.50, less than a cup of coffee, we can deliver major change for the working people in our state who are struggling to get by.
So that's what Governor Hobbs had to share. She's under the proposal that she was sharing as well was that the funding would come from a new $3.50 nightly fee on short-term rentals such as Airbnb and VRBO, as we mentioned. And it could definitely help, I think. She says the fund would help working class families pay some utility bills, weatherize homes to lower energy costs, and build more affordable housing.
I think when you look at that $3.50, it kind of shows you it's just a small amount per night, but it goes to show how many of these rental properties there must be across the valley for it to make a difference.
And it shows how many people are probably visiting the valley. Think of for the next, I guess, 4 to 6 weeks or so, you have Barrett Jackson for a couple of weeks here in town. That draws a huge number of people around the nation. You have the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and people come early and late for that, and they'll stay and hang out and play golf.
Exactly.
And so you have these huge events. You have spring training, you know, and it has become kind of a great spot, I think, for a lot of investors, whether or not that's good or bad, to purchase properties to make a little extra
rent them
cash.
out, especially this time of year. You made such a good point. And then we also got a statement from Airbnb, and this gives us that number right here. It says this proposal on this new tax, it's on over 1.2 million Arizonans who stayed in short-term rentals in Arizona last year. 1.2 million in just 1 year.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And if you factor in that $3.50.
Yeah, no kidding. We do live in a beautiful city. Our drone crew did a great job on grabbing some of these images. Linda Monster says, no coffee for us. What do you drink in the morning? Do you have your own? Do you like tea?
She's got an extra pep in her step.
Yes, she does. She just wakes up, pops out of bed. Good for you. Let's go right to our poll question. This leads us right into it. So Governor Hobbs proposes a $3.50 charge for short-term renters to bankroll Arizona's affordability fund. 59% of you say great idea. The small fee could help Arizona's neediest families. 41% of you say bad idea. Any additional tax is a bad tax. Kenz, do you want to go through the YouTube poll?
Yeah, it seems interesting. Can we see what people said and what their response was on there? Okay, great. I think what's interesting about that is I would have thought more people would be for this, to be honest, just because the tax is coming from the people that are staying here, not from Arizonans' pockets. But, you know, sometimes people just don't want tax. So that's okay.
And people don't like it. Yeah, some people don't like tax. 68% of you say, you know, it's not a great idea. It's interesting, Kenz, what we'll see with both of our audiences. So the YouTube poll that you see here up on your screen, those are predominantly people online on YouTube.
Oh, okay, like right now.
Yeah, and so you can find the link if you're new to the chat. You can find the link up at the top of the chat box. And then the other poll, this one that we just showed, is predominantly people maybe watching on TV or in our Fox Local app.
From this morning.
Because they can scan the QR code.
I see.
Yeah, so we get, it's interesting.
So it's a little bit of a difference there. We got the 57 and the 43, and then we got the 32 and the 68.
Yeah, and then Big D. Dave has the ability to read some of those comments. Hey, buddy.
That's right. A lot of interest and enthusiasm about this poll. We love hearing from everybody. Shanice76 says it's less than $4. Nobody is out there building affordable housing from the goodness of their heart. The state, city, county has to invest heavily in it. The money has to come from somewhere. It might as well come from people who are utilizing short-term rentals, since that industry plays a role in the housing shortage. But the opposite feeling, Barry and Heber says, why is the answer always to tax the people? Taxation needs to be reduced, not increased. Keep the comments coming, guys. We love hearing from you.
Look at his bright face. He's so happy.
Hi,
He's such a happy guy. And everybody loves seeing Dave's face on big screen or on your YouTube screen or wherever that is. A couple of you have been chiming in, and thank you for this. So we says, AZ Raider 4871 says Airbnb tax is good. Get something out of the strangers constantly disturbing our neighborhood. Well said, AZ Raider. Thank you. This is a safe space. You can speak your mind here. But Linda Monster says we drink juice, milk, and water in the morning. Good for you. Here is a quick glance at that mystery camera this morning. We'll have your answer. Share your thoughts in the chat. We'll be right back. Okay, mics are on. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Fox 10 Talks here in Phoenix, Arizona. We know many of you are watching from all around the nation and the world, and we so appreciate you hanging with us. This is our mystery camera. We pull it up usually around 10:15, sometimes 10:30, and many of you have already shared your ideas about where, in fact,
They're
this
coming
could
in.
be. Yes.
Guesses already.
What are some of those guesses, Ken?
People already saying North Carolina, Mississippi, Washington. We were chatting about it here. It's kind of giving two vibes for me, either East Coast or very West Coast, like Washington, Oregon, or maybe like Maine, Vermont.
Yeah, look at those birds flying away too, right?
We got two
Oh, it's so
Washingtons in the
cool.
chat.
Yeah. And, you know, by the way, we know that you guys love our tease music that you hear behind. And so does this guy right here. Justin said, oh, hey, there's the rave music.
Justin, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Morning, guys.
So, Justin, your thoughts on this as well, my friend?
I was thinking Virginia or Maryland, but I could see, you know, somewhere Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Evergreen trees, they're saying in the chat.
These are always, they always stump us.
Yeah, so
Dean picks these, right?
Yeah, Dean picks them. Oh, all right, let's go through some of these. So we have a North Carolina from B. Miguel, Mississippi from Linda Monterth, and then we have Washington from, is that Hassa? Hassa, good morning. Are you new to the chat? I recognize, you know, the fact that you may be new to the feed. And then O'Shea 4444 says Oregon. What do you think, Kenz? Pick a state.
Oh, everyone's saying Washington in the chat. I'm going to go with
Washington
majority rules.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, you're going to go Washington State. Are
we supposed to be picking a city or a state?
State. So yes, state. I'm going to go with
very
like
specific.
Oh yeah, there's no rules actually.
Okay.
Actually, we don't have any rules on FTT at all. Like it's spectacular.
This is in the U.S. though, right?
I mean, we could let that rave music roll, right,
Here we
Justin?
go.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go with like a Maine. I'll go with Maine.
One.
Okay,
Justin,
so
what was yours?
I said Maryland. I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
okay.
Probably wrong.
All right, Ken, do you want to undo the unveil? Oh, it might be Kelly. Kelly's in there.
Mystery Cam 1.
Okay, let's open it up and see.
Oh my gosh, who said this?
wow.
Nice work, everyone.
Should've went
Hassa
with
said
Washington.
Capital
I
Lake,
know.
Olympia, Washington.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Isn't that a great shot there? And those birds. Oh, look at there's like a seagull or something. So pretty. All right. We do have Justin Lum here this morning, buddy. Good morning.
Good morning.
You've been working hard on many different big stories, but I think congratulations are in order. You have an award-winning documentary series.
Yeah, Aftermath Murdered in Phoenix. We won the Rocky Mountain Regional Emmy for that in the crime and justice content category. This was for season 1. And so since then, since last spring, I would say, we've been working on the next set of cases, 3 victims, unsolved homicides here in the city of Phoenix. And I think it's really special that we're able to give a platform to 3 other families that have really not gotten any answers in the past few years. So
let me play this first and we'll come right back to you.
911, where is your emergency?
No one says like how hard it's gonna be. You don't know until you actually lose your kid. So like every day you just wake up like there's a hole in your heart.
Every cold case has its own challenges. We have 3 full-time homicide cold case detectives. A lot of times these cases go on for years.
People stop calling. Life goes on, and you're just stuck.
As a homicide detective, this is one of those cases that keeps me up at night. No one has come forward to report what they saw.
There's not a day or an hour that goes by that I don't think about him.
We know somebody out there has information that can tell us exactly what took place that night.
My heart shattered. That's the day I actually felt what a broken heart was.
We're determined to find justice.
And wow, that's it is heartbreaking too when you think about it, Justin. What is it like revisiting some of these stories with these families?
I think it's hard, especially since I'm a parent now and talking to these mothers and fathers or siblings of victims who just the grief doesn't really stop, like the updates may stop. There might not be any leads at all, but going into a teenager's bedroom and hasn't been touched, and everything is really the same, and you can see, their school ID, their glasses or their makeup and things like that. That really touches you. What would you do if you were in that situation? Or going to a cemetery with one of these family members and watching them tend to the grass and bring flowers, and they just, it never gets easier. And then it gets even more heavy when you go back to the scene of the crime with them and sort of relive that trauma, and try to find, I don't know, new clues or new nuggets of information. But for them, they're just holding on to some hope, and they know that they're not getting a lot of information from police if there isn't any. So I think this is what we can provide, is that platform for them to discuss how they're navigating that grief and what they're doing to try to find answers, even with the smallest lead or surveillance video or image. And we talk to silent witness a lot and ask police, what can be done. But I think really what we can do is just provide that platform for them to tell their stories and keep that memory alive.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times we do stories that start off as breaking news, and we cover it. We cover it extensively. We do the interviews as sometimes day turn reporters. But I'm sure for you go talk to these families, and that one mom in that interview when she said, people stop calling. I'm sure the first month, 2 months, 3 months, but the months go on for these families without their loved one, right? Yeah. And you reach out to them, connect with them. Do you feel like it gives them almost some sort of hope that your, new interest is being shown?
I think that's rewarding for me. And I ask them for their patience and trust, because I say, hey, this is going to take some time, because we're also in our world juggling different projects and stories. And I keep that on my list of things to do. And I want to shout out our photojournalist, Corey Goodwin, who's really from scratch shot everything in these interviews
and edited
and just this is 3 episodes, nearly 40 minutes long, all told. And then our promotions producer TJ Larson for putting that together. I think what's so compelling is the sound. It feels like they've had this all pent up. They haven't heard from somebody in months or even years. Maybe they've done that one interview with a reporter or 2 reporters when this tragedy happened within the first couple of weeks. And then maybe they did a silent witness press conference, and then things just sort of died off. And that's the sad part. So when you talk to them at length for about 45 minutes to an hour and spend time with them, it is very therapeutic for them. And you sort of absorb that as the journalist. You take all that emotion, and you have to control yourself as well, because what you're hearing is heartbreaking. So, but I think that part is rewarding, to be able to give them that voice. And that woman there, I want to get into the cases in a little bit, but that's Tracy DeJournette. Her son, Thomas DeJournette, came from Washington State to help coach a youth football event here in Phoenix. And he was shot and killed outside of a nightclub that weekend, just enjoying himself with friends. And that was probably one of the toughest interviews I've done. I've told Tracy, I said it was heartbreaking to sit there and watch her just, cry like that. She comes every year to put up flyers at that club, even though they get taken down every year.
I think for a lot of these families, you kind of touched on it a little bit, is that it gives them hope that they're not forgotten. Yeah. That their loved ones aren't forgotten. And let's talk about that first case, if we can. When you're listening to that story and you're in the middle of that interview for 45 minutes, like how do you decide what to use and what not to use, and to allow the story to really breathe? Yeah, that's where, in the writing process, you get everything transcribed and really listen to everything, and you want to pick so many different sound bites. You guys know how it is, but I think you're helping weave the story along. I'm not taking over the story. I'm there to put it together and use her sound and her perspective, and perspective from other interviews involved. So we talked to the detective on that case. Now that's officially a cold case in the murder of Thomas DeJournette. That bedroom I talked about, we went into the bedroom of 17-year-old Desiree Rivas. She was a cheerleader at Cesar Chavez High School, and she was shot and killed leaving a house party. She didn't really go to parties much. She was
trying to get home before curfew. And so her mom said at that time she hadn't heard from a detective in about 6 months. There just weren't any updates. So she just continues to post that silent witness flyer with that $12,000 reward.
That's a lot of money.
And that's a lot of money, but there's so many witnesses, that were at a party, but no one has said anything. And then you have Joseph McNally. I talked about going to a cemetery with his mother. She goes back to the scene of the crime. And she visits homeless people there and gives them like goodie bags with toothpaste, toothbrush, whatever sort of supplies they might need on the day that he was murdered. So she makes sure she goes out and gives 28 bags because he was 28. Joseph was just shot and killed in an interaction with the suspect vehicle, and he was dragged through the street. So there's a lot we don't know about these cases, and we're trying to just sort of unpeel it and see if anyone is willing to say something.
How did you come to decide on these 3 cases? What was it about these 3?
Sometimes just by chance where they reach out, they keep in touch. And I remember within Joseph's case, Joseph McNally, I covered it as a general assignment reporter during the pandemic. And at that time, you had to be like 6 feet away. And I stood outside in the driveway and they were in the front of their doorstep. And I had my mask on, spoke to the mother and her family. And I remember telling that story for the first time. And then you keep in touch through the years and maybe you do a follow-up or 2. And then when the next season of Planning Aftermath came along, I was like, well, that's somebody I want to help. That's someone who hasn't gotten a lot of attention. And so Julie, the mother, shared the 911 call, and it's chilling to hear that, but it takes you back to that night in 2021 when he was killed. I always wanted to interview Desiree's parents. I just felt, I live kind of near the Levine area. I've heard about Desiree Rivas. I didn't get to cover it when it happened in 2023, but I always felt like I need to talk to that mother and father about that. That's just really heartbreaking. And then Thomas Dejanay, I covered that also as a general assignment reporter, and the mother reached out to me and said, hey, is there any way we can get this back on the news? I'm coming to Phoenix to, put up flyers at the club. And I said, you know what? I sent her our first season and said, I think this would be more of the perfect fit for you, because this is, sadly, it is evergreen in a way. They may not get answers for another year, and we don't know when. I mean, you hope for justice, but at least they have this, and they say that they did that for their loved one.
2 quick things, because we have to wrap. We have to go to a quick break again here, but you mentioned one thing is that you said now that you have a child, that it's like, I think that for a lot of people, you think journalists aren't really human when we're covering a story, but we feel the heartache or the heaviness, especially when something happens to a child, because we have children of our own. And then the other quick thing, we just have 10 seconds, but silent witness, obviously you can remain anonymous, you can call them with tips, and you can really help these families.
480 witness, that's all it takes. Someone knows something. So tune in tonight at 5 o'clock.
All right, Justin, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Great work. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I don't. Oh, there you go.
Is that okay?
There, you got it. Yeah. Mics are hot now. We've got a special guest, and we'll introduce him in just a quick moment. But welcome back, everyone. And you're looking live at a really cool city. If Ron was here, he would know exactly where this was. But Jared of Sonora, good morning to you.
I'm going to take a guess. I was going to say New Orleans. We got the Caesars.
That's
Dome.
exactly
That's
what
where
Brian
the playoff
just said.
game
is. So there's New Orleans for you. Beautiful city there in the South. All right, 10:30 this morning. Welcome back, and thank you to everyone who's been hanging with us. We have been doing over the course of the last, several, I guess, weeks or so, introducing you to some of the candidates that are running for office here in Arizona, both locally and for those state offices as well. And this morning we have another candidate to share with you, share some background, their thoughts on some of the topics that they're covering and what they stand for as well.
Yeah, Rodney Glassman, thank you so much for joining us. This is exciting, a very big seat in Arizona. Arizona Attorney General. Why? What's really set your eye on that?
Well, the Arizona Attorney General is the most impactful elected office in the state. Most Arizonans aren't even aware of it. And I believe that we need an Attorney General here that wants to protect our cops, protect our kids, and frankly, protect Arizona's prosperity. And what we have right now is not that at all. President Trump won Arizona by over 5 percentage points. But we have an insane liberal attorney general right now that has sued the Trump administration 31 times in the past 12 months. And so I'm running for attorney general because I want to put Arizona first. And the attorney general is actually the largest law office in the state. 400 attorneys, 1,000 support staff, providing all the legal services for every state agency. And what makes me unique as a candidate is I'm the only Republican running with the experience to do the job. I'm a lieutenant colonel out at Luke Air Force Base. I've been serving for over 16 years. I'm also a private attorney, and I have my law school sweetheart, now wife of 16 years, and 2 teenage daughters. So, so I bring that kind of experience as a lawyer to the table, which is what we need if we're going to defeat the Democrat in November.
Well, I think the fact that you have been married for 16 years might prepare you for this top job. Give me your thoughts on how have you survived 16 years and lived a great life with your beautiful wife?
Well, my wife's amazing. The battle these days is teenage daughters.
Thank you. I've got 2 of them.
How old are yours?
18 and 13.
Okay.
What about yours?
15 and 13.
Oh, yeah.
And they're amazing. And there's the old saying that teenage daughters treat their fathers terribly and their mothers worse.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but we're a team. We started off together, and they're spectacular. But the reality is we live in the city of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the city of Phoenix is underpoliced. We don't have enough law enforcement officers. And I don't just talk about protecting public safety. The chairman of our campaign for Attorney General is the Maricopa County Sheriff, Jerry Sheridan, who, like you and I, also has 2 daughters. And so we can all relate. But we need an elected official in this top cop job that stands up every day and says, I have law enforcement's back. I just took a leave of absence from the 100 Club, the nonprofit in Arizona that provides resources for fallen officers, because I have a track record of serving in the community, helping on those issues. So we need someone that's going to protect our police. But going back to the teenage daughters, we also need someone that's going to protect our kids. And we have an insane Democrat, liberal attorney general right now that thinks it's okay for boys to compete against girls. She hates school choice. She's working to get rid of our school choice program. She wants to destroy the charter school program. We're a school choice family. And I believe that every family and every parent should have the opportunity to decide where their kids go to school. And what most people don't know, and this is interesting, we elect a superintendent of public instruction. Right now, it's Superintendent Tom Horn.
Right.
Tom's actually co-chairing my campaign with the Maricopa County Sheriff. Question being why? Why? Because guess how many lawyers the Department of Education has in Arizona?
How many?
None. They're all assistant attorney generals, just like every other state agency. There's over 60,000 realtors in Arizona. The governor appoints the director of the real estate commissioner, but she gets no attorneys. They're all assistant attorney generals. So I describe the attorney general as the wife or mom of government because it is the job that's in charge.
So here's a quick question for you from AZ Raider, and I think Kenzie had a couple of questions for you as well. What is Mr. Glassman's stance on ICE operations?
We have far too many illegal people here in our country, and we need to enforce the laws. President Trump has done an amazing job of securing our southern border. I was just down there a few months ago with our Maricopa County Sheriff, the chair of our campaign.
Down in southern Arizona.
In Yuma, and Sheriff Leon Wilmot. And we were driving along the border, and it's silent now. In fact, we came across one person the entire time we were down there, a 9-year-old Guatemalan girl, by herself. So the border is secure because of President Trump. But as we know, what happens at the border doesn't stop at the border. There are still tons, way too many illegals across this country. And President Trump is now working with ICE to enforce the law. And so as Attorney General, I'm going to have law enforcement's back.
I think for a lot of people, though, they may not understand, it's not necessarily because there's a lot of illegals that are people who are not here in the country legally, who contribute to the economy and who work here. But I think a lot of it may be those, the drug cartels, the fentanyl, the opioid, the drugs. That's really also, I think, very important to mention when you're talking about the border issue. That's where that's crossing.
Well, and Arizona's the gateway. I mean, it's coming in our border here to Arizona and going everywhere in the country. And that's something we've covered extensively.
And we're a nation of laws. And we have to enforce those laws. And the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer. So it will be my job not only to work with the federal government to enforce our immigration laws, but also to make sure that our local police officers, our local sheriff deputies aren't afraid to do their job. Because what we can't have is we can't have the men and women that leave their home every morning to keep our families safe, being concerned when they're making those split-second decisions. Is this the decision that's going to end my career? And they need to know that they have someone who stands with them, and that's what I plan to do as Attorney General.
Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, you obviously plan to go head-to-head with Chris Mays, who's the Democratic candidate here, you as a Republican. I think something that would be interesting to voters is 10 years ago, you were running for other positions as a Democrat. So what is it that shifted for you?
Well, two things happened. First off, the Democratic Party that I knew has gone insane. I wanted a party that talked about jobs, that talked about kids, that talked about safety. And what we've got now is a Democratic Party that talks about a third bathroom and all these other crazy issues that are not core issues to my family or, I believe, yours. But number two, on June 16th, 2015, the day that President Trump came down the escalator, that was the day that I registered Republican. I'm proud to have supported him. I'm proud to have been married for quite some time, have our daughters served in the military, paid private sector taxes, and I'm proud to be a Republican. And that's one of the other interesting things about our Republican primary is that I'm the one that has the track record in the Republican primary of actually supporting President Trump consistently, because we need an attorney general that is going to be supportive of the president and his agenda. Right now, what we have is an attorney general who literally ran, Democrat Chris Mays ran on attacking President Trump, on attacking our cops, on attacking our kids, and on destroying our community. And that's frankly what she's doing, and that's why we need to fire her in November. But that means we have to provide voters with an experienced, and that's the key word, experienced choice. I've served as a prosecutor for almost 20 years. I've prosecuted drug dealers, financial crimes, and protected victims of sexual assault. And I've also worked as a civil attorney. And that's the kind of option that we need to give Arizona voters, because remember, we're a red state. President Trump won by over 5 percentage points, but we have to give voters an option to hire an attorney of the quality that they'd hire to protect their families.
So I want to get to one question in our chat. Interesting. We have a very active chat. We have a lot of people that ask very good questions. O'Shea444 says the border is obviously a huge issue. Curious, how much of that is AG action versus needing legislative support?
When I travel across the state, I always ask the question, do you think the laws that are currently on the books are being enforced? And the answer on every topic is no. We need an attorney general that is going to enforce the laws that we already have. A big issue across our state is the issue of election integrity. Election integrity. We have to have confidence in our Arizona elections.
Yes.
And guess who's in charge of investigating and prosecuting election fraud? The Attorney General.
You win the job, yeah.
No, it is the most important job. So I'm going to start on day one as Attorney General. I'm going to withdraw Arizona from the 31 clickbait lawsuits that Chris Mays has filed against the Trump administration. I'm going to rescind the political indictments that Chris Mays has made against good Republicans simply for supporting President Trump. And then I'm going to get to work with my 400 attorneys and 1,000 support staff to start enforcing the laws that we have on the books.
So I have about a minute left, and I do want to ask this last question. We had a story yesterday that talked about how, I know you said we're a red state, but we have a lot of independents, so we are really teetering on being purple here right now. And it's interesting. We have Democrats as a governor. We have a Democrat as a current AG. We also have a lot of Republican state lawmakers. So how do you, what are your thoughts on that? We do have a mix of different lawmakers. How do you work across the aisle? We have 30 seconds.
You work by bringing leadership and experience. The reality is, the question you asked, I was a Democrat. I left the party, but I have a priority of cops, kids, and prosperity. And the reality is, those are not partisan issues, but what is partisan is having an attorney general that's going to enforce the law and work with the president. And that's why I hope your viewers will visit our website at rodneyglassman.com and get us through this primary.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, Rodney. By the way.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think the teenagers may have prepared you the most.
They are amazing, and I love them every day. Well, and you know, when you tell your daughters when they're going crazy that you love them, that makes them even crazier.
It does. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You have a minute left.
Oh, we have one more minute for you. Let's get you one quick thoughts on this if we can. I almost got rid of us real quick. Brian, can we drop the music, please, for one quick second? We have about 40 seconds. Your thoughts on Brnovich, the passing of him. He was a friend of this show and the station.
And Mark, as you know, was a veteran, married to Susan, his wife, for a very long time. Another dad of 2 daughters, and his passing was way too soon. And may his memory be a blessing.
Yeah. Just 59 years old.
Yeah, very, very young and very sudden. So we do thank you for your time. Thank you. All right, let's now take another look here at this shot, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Boulder Junction, as you can see with that fish. And I believe
lots of snow.
Yes. Lots of snow. It's a lot different there than it is here, Ken.
Yeah. I think we have a high of 75 today, right?
I know.
It was freezing this morning.
I think it's, in the high 70s, and it's going to last for at least like a week or something.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of places, they've been needing the snow, wanting the snow. So I'm sure that Boulder Junction is right up there with it, and it's really snowy there.
Oh, my goodness. It's so great. So we have a special guest in studio.
This is so fun. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for
We're going to be talking all about jobs. And I thought this was such a fun time of year to do this. I think whether somebody was looking to make either a career shift or find a new role after the holidays, during the holidays, maybe it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
What do you notice in terms of maybe a pickup in January?
January is the best time to look for a job because you have to think about it. In December, first of all, everyone's checked out. They want to go on their vacation.
Yeah.
They want to stay to get their bonus. Everybody's like, we'll circle back.
What is that bonus?
Like?
Rachel, tell me
Yeah, exactly. And so everyone sort of puts things off till after the holidays.
Yeah.
And here we are in January. We're circling back. This is us. This is what we're doing right now. And it's
some of the industries that you're seeing when it comes to looking for a new job. I know we've heard a lot about, and Kenzie has covered this as well, but and just like the how the technology industry is shifting, with AI and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
a lot of industries are shifting right now. Even entertainment, which is where we are. You know, I come from the entertainment industry. A lot of big shifts happening over there, and it's true. But you know what? You got to kind of evolve with whatever's happening. You got to go with it. You got to, you can't control it, so you just have to kind of go with it. It is a little bit of a weird time right now.
And tell us kind of what you do. You help people guide them.
Yeah. So I started the Grapevine Agency with my partner, Lori, 20 years ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And what we do is we're like job matchmakers. So we have clients that hire us to find them staff. So we staff homes and offices all across the country, but we're focused and based in Los Angeles. And so what we do is we connect people with their dream jobs.
That's awesome. Is there a specific industry right now that people might be surprised that is really looking to hire people? You know, maybe someone's looking to get into a new industry.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
I mean, AI specialists, I would say, is probably a pretty good, pretty good bet at this time. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to read a little bit of this. I think that you have a really interesting background.
Thank you.
Former Hollywood assistant, turned powerhouse mentor. I love that.
I'll take it.
Own it. I love that. And you're the author of Straight from the Grapevine, How to Crush Your Job Search. At the beginning of that job search, are resumes still a thing? Are cover letters still a thing? How do we, after I go online and I'm searching through some of the websites and I see this is posted, are those things that we still need to, or is LinkedIn enough?
Yeah, no, resumes are still a thing. Cover letters, very important. The most important thing is that your resume and your cover letter are speaking the same language. Same with LinkedIn and your social media. All your materials have to tell the same story, right? So resumes, super, super important. Now you want to make sure that when you look at the job description, you take some of that language and some of those buzzwords and you put it into your resume. And AI can help you do that. And that way, when it's going through these AI filters, it picks up and it'll get through. And then it'll get to a human, which is what you ultimately
Rachel,
want.
can you just hold with us for one quick second? We have some breaking news that we want to get to, but we want to make sure that we continue this conversation for sure. And we're going to go right to, Dave, did you say ENG 22? Let's go right here. Let's listen in if we can here. This is a press conference on a breaking news situation in Tempe.
Was the suspect doing anything suspicious prior to them?
I don't have that. I'll get you more information and put it out this afternoon.
You know if the cars have plate readers on them or anything? I was able to realize.
Ours don't have automatic plate readers, but I don't have that information yet.
And just to confirm one more time, the suspect, adult male, but you don't have an age yet or anything?
Correct.
Are you going to do another presser or just a press release?
We'll put out a press release later once we have more information. I mean, when we report Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's try to get closer.
I think we caught it right at the end of that press conference. Let's go ahead and we'll just give you a couple of quick nuggets of information on that breaking story at the right about maybe 9:45 on Baseline and Priest in Tempe.
Yeah, that was Tempe PD giving the first presser that we've heard of since this incident. Just little information talking about a male suspect, maybe in that car. But we're obviously trying to learn more, and we'll continue to kind of check back in.
If you did not catch the top of the 10 o'clock, what happened was we had Skyfox overhead. There was a police situation at a gas station right there on the corner, and it was shut down completely. We know there were shots fired. It looks as though in the windshield. We don't know anything about victims or suspects or how many people were in the vehicle, but we do know that there was this breaking news situation. So, of course, as you mentioned, Ken's, that was Tempe PD bringing you that, and we'll bring you more a little bit later today. Let's get right back to our interview.
Switching things back to jobs,
hard left
and
turn.
Careers. You were talking about resumes and making sure that everything is cohesive. You mentioned social media, which I think is interesting. Different generations, people may be used to that, maybe not. But I would think an employer is going to check maybe your Instagram or your Facebook.
Absolutely.
To see, I mean, who you are outside of work is a reflection of who you are maybe inside of the office as well.
Absolutely. And we advise all of our candidates to make sure your social media is clean. It's like you want to, your boss, anything you wouldn't want your boss to see, don't put it up there, especially during your job search. And we often have clients say, let me get their handle so I can take a look at them a little. So it goes beyond the cover letter, it goes beyond the resume and even the LinkedIn. And now it's going into social media. So you have to be really, really careful to keep that narrative clean and clear.
What about using AI to create your resume letter or I know there's ways to check like if AI was used. And so is that a good idea or no?
So we like to say, use it as a guideline, get your ideas organized with AI, and then write it yourself. Because at the end of the day, you want to connect with someone. This is all about human connection because they're not hiring an AI. Well, not yet, at least. They're not hiring.
Thank goodness.
Not yet. But and you can't bring the AI with you into the interview or into the job. So you want that human touch and that human connection. But absolutely use AI to help you get organized or do mock interviews with you.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a great thing to use.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so you take the job description, you put it through your AI and say, give me 10 interview questions I might be asked. And then you sit and you just do mock interviews with your AI because practice is what makes you prepared, and then you're confident to walk into the room.
That is a great idea. It's more using it as a tool instead of a crutch, that whole thing.
Absolutely.
Would you say the hardest part is really getting that resume to the person's desk because there is just such an extensive system on the front end?
Yeah, and it's gotten so much harder to actually get to a human. It's like when you're calling, you can't even get a human on the phone when you're calling to make an appointment for something or a reservation. So it's the same thing. It's like getting it to that human. So that's why we suggest taking the buzzwords from the job description and making sure they're in your duties. You don't want to lie, but you want to make sure you're giving them the words that they're asking for. And that's how you'll get to that person.
So how do we find your book?
So it's up for pre-order now, which is so exciting. Anywhere that you buy books, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere that you can find it. Amazon is always the easiest. And then on March 3rd, it comes out to all bookstores.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
So if you're on the job hunt, why not put this in your back pocket?
Absolutely.
Or maybe give it as a gift to people that
it's such a great gift.
For someone graduating college.
That's right.
Great gift.
That's why it's coming out in March. We thought it would be such a good season to give it to people who are graduating or even people graduating high school because you already have to start thinking about it with the internships and what am I going to be doing when I'm in college. So, it's a great. So you can find us on at Grapevine Agency is our Instagram, and we post all about the book up there.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Rachel.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
And I can't believe you survived Hollywood. Congratulations.
Barely. Thank you.
All right. We're going to go to this story next. And we're going to go to fitness resolutions. This is a story that a lot of folks are talking about this morning. And Rachel, thank you so much. It was so great to meet you. New Year's resolutions underway. People with fitness goals may be feeling the pressure to stay motivated.
Did you set any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, we do set resolutions. does. In our family, like my husband will print out these worksheets. I
love it.
And then we sit down at dinner on New Year's Day and I'll make black-eyed peas. And
fun.
it has
Sounds like
been
a tradition.
It has been a tradition with the kiddos, and
That's
so we
awesome.
go through these worksheets. So it's they're kind of like goals as opposed to resolutions. We're
I
like,
like
okay, this
that.
is my goal by the end of the year.
Yep.
Or one of mine is always to read one book every month.
Okay.
Not Audible, but
Okay.
actually sit down and read one.
Okay, I said I was going to do 4 books this year.
Good for
so
you.
12 is better.
Well, the hard
but
thing
I think
though,
4 is realistic.
You read a lot, and as do I.
Yeah.
But you read a lot. We read a lot for work.
So that's what I was going to say. My 4 books are supposed to be fun books. I know we're
Yes.
supposed to be talking about fitness, but fun books because I'm always doing research, always
Yes.
doing work stuff. But in terms of fitness, kind of, I think what a lot of people sometimes do is almost set goals that maybe aren't realistic.
Yeah.
But kind of setting those goals that make you excited to achieve them.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
And there was a great story that we had, and Ken's, I want to get your thoughts on this. We just have a couple of minutes, but we had a doctor in studio this morning that said 10 minutes of intense workout a day.
I love
and
that.
that's it. And actually, it's good for your mitochondria,
Yeah,
your
we can all do
cells.
10 minutes.
Right?
Put the phone away. 10
Yeah.
minutes, I can do that.
Yeah,
Like,
or
I
li-
love going for a walk, but like 10 minutes of just go for
Yeah,
it. put
and
your
he said a walk is
headphones
good
on.
too, so you're
Okay.
right on something.
So I'm on track.
Yes. Okay, and we want to bring you this last story. We have about a minute and a half left before we help usher in Ty and Anita here this morning.
You have different religions. If it's possible, if people of different tastes, clothes, dancing together, why not? We cannot live like that anymore. It's a beautiful image for me.
You couldn't really hear him very well, but this is the yes, it's a holy DJ. So for all of you in the chat, this is something that has been trending, for a number of different weeks, in fact. And he is a priest, but he's also a DJ, and you just saw him dancing there. And apparently, he's so good. He has a huge following online.
I love it. It says praying by day and partying by night. Who says you can't do both? There he goes. Look at him. Oh my gosh, that just made my day.
Isn't that so great? I wanted to make sure we fit that in.
I love
because
the 2 shot of seeing him. He's in his, service.
Look at all
and
the
then
cell phones.
That is awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Spreading joy either way.
I feel like, more people probably would go to confession after knowing that this is the guy
it's
that's
so
on the other side. I mean, it's so spectacular. Thank you all for joining myself and Ken's. It was great
What
to
a
have
fun
you
way
today.
to close out the morning.
Oh, have a great day. Anita and Ty will be up in about 8 seconds, friends. Have a great day.
That was awesome.
Good job.
Goes by fast. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, I keep saying it's Thursday.
I wish.
Wishful thinking on my part, but it's only Wednesday. But another jam-packed show. We have 4 guests today.
Oh, what's our record? 5, 6?
I think it was 5.
Dave, was it 5?
I feel like it was 5.
I feel like it
Dave
was 5
saying
too.
5, yeah.
Well, maybe 6 tomorrow. It's a year
We're
to break some
overachievers,
records,
right?
aren't we? Though we are talking about something really fun. I think fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
SpaceX.
Yes, we are. The rocket, SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launch is going to be happening any minute from Cape Canaveral Space Force. So we're going to be monitoring that throughout the morning. Do we have a live picture of that I could show yet? Not yet. Okay. If it does show up, we of course will pop that up. Dave, real quick, since we're at the top of the show, I wanted to make sure that our next guest, Olivianna, is good to go. Is she good to go?
She should be appearing on camera in just a second.
Okay. Well, maybe while we're waiting for her, we can talk to our next guest. Sure. And then we'll come back to Olivianna because I don't want to rush her because I think she's still getting ready.
We're flexible this
That's
morning.
what we have to do.
Hi. Let's introduce Misty.
Hey, Misty. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
And
Hi.
Misty, people may have seen you on TV before. You work with Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, but I think your job is fascinating. So why don't you kind of give a brief rundown of what you do for Sky Harbor?
Absolutely. So I am fortunate enough to be a part of the public relations division for the City of Phoenix Aviation Department, and I am the superintendent for guest and employee experience. So basically, I advocate on behalf of the customer. So I can be involved in anything from design to programming to implementing, training, and working with the public and forward-facing customers.
We have a lot of guests and a lot of customers. Sky Harbor, one of the busiest and friendliest airports
Thank you.
in the nation, right?
That's right.
So you have some really interesting programs that you're working on.
We do. We're always looking at how we can enhance the experience for our customers and make it even better. And so our dementia-friendly air travel workshop is just one of those.
So explain what that is. How will this work and what will it look like?
So really this concept started because we thought we need to make sure we bring together all of the resources that are available and let people know, hey, we're not doing anything new, but what we're doing is bringing everybody together to talk about these resources are available to you when you're traveling. We're talking to caregivers. We're talking to anybody who wants to continue to travel, but they're just not sure how to do it and they might need a little extra help. We have so many resources available that sometimes people get a little bit overwhelmed. And this workshop, we actually highlight, okay, if you want to travel, here's what you need to do. These are the days that you should be looking at traveling. Here are some tips on making reservations for your wheelchair in advance. Here are some additional resources like, did you know you can make an appointment to go through the checkpoint, right, with our PHX Reserve? Did you know that you can actually request somebody that will guide you throughout your entire experience at Sky Harbor? They will literally meet you at the curb, walk you through the check-in process, take you through the checkpoint, and they'll wait with you at your gate.
Which is incredible. And people don't realize that things change. When you're traveling with a family member or a friend with dementia, and the way you travel has to change. And this is why this tool is absolutely so essential. The workshop is free of charge, open to the public?
It is. It's completely free. It's open to the public. It's about 2 hours long, and then there's an optional tour afterwards where we will actually walk you through, point out, these are the things that you might need to take advantage of when you're here.
Let's talk real quick. Sorry, I've got people in my ear. We've got a couple things going on, so I apologize, Misty. But let's talk about just, the travel experience sometimes can be stressful for people as it is. But I think this just kind of alleviates so much of that pressure by you guys putting this on. And I know you guys have done this before for those individuals with autism or that are on the spectrum. You guys have really kind of tried to make traveling all-inclusive and as easy as a process as it can be.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, accessibility is so important to us. Just letting people know that they are welcome. Here are your resources. How can we help you have a great experience at Sky Harbor?
Yeah. While we've got you here, can we talk about, because I think the last time you and I saw each other was you guys opened up that really cool sensory room.
Yes.
And Terminal 4. And just talk about what that is and who that is for.
Yeah, so the sensory room is a part of our compassion corner. So there's a real trend at Sky Harbor. We're just trying to be very compassionate, and we want to make sure that people know that this space is available where they can come. The sensory room is for anyone who has any sort of need to get out of the hustle and bustle and busy airport environment, whether that's somebody with autism, on the spectrum, whatever the case may be. They can go in that room and relax, calm, get nice and calm, and then we actually have some seats from an airplane, and and you can kind of practice what it's like before you get on a plane, because it can be very stressful for a lot of people.
Absolutely. All of it can be. How do people sign up for the workshop and get more information?
So all you have to do is email us at skyharbor at phoenix.gov, or you can visit our website and you can find the information on there as well.
We'll have you back again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing what you do, because I think it is, because I love to travel, and I can't imagine what it would be like if you had kind of that extra burden, not a burden, but you know what I mean, just that extra little bit of stress.
It's more to think about. It's more to think about.
And
we already have a lot to think about.
Yes.
That's right.
Misty, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We are going to head out to Space Force Station, Florida.
Nope, we're not.
No, we're not.
We're not. We're going to go to
Olivia.
Olivianna.
So sorry.
Olivianna, good morning.
Hi. Just kidding.
Good morning. I'm outside the Kansas City Stadium.
Oh, how fun.
Yes, and we're talking World Cup. This area is one of the host cities, and they are very excited as the smallest host city. They're prepping for how many people will be traveling here from all across the world, and they're having to figure out hotel space. Some people are even renting out their own homes, just like one guy I spoke to yesterday.
Move back in with your parents, but renting out your home during the World Cup might. Kansas City is preparing for an estimated 600,000 visitors this summer.
Everyone's about to show up on our doorstep.
And with hotels booking up months in advance, space is becoming harder to find.
Everything is going to be booked. I would imagine there's going to be people in tents in the streets.
The local economic development group Visit KC says this area has about 36,000 hotel rooms, but World Cup officials have scooped some of them up.
There are hotels that have contracts with FIFA that are on lockdown right now.
Nelson says some of those rooms are still available for now, but that could change quickly.
It's certainly weekly meetings with hotels and the KC 2026 staff to make sure we're in front of everything. We haven't heard anyone say we're completely sold out.
One hotel under construction says they aim to open right before the first match.
And there'll be a cocktail lounge area, and then you'll pass a coffee shop.
The people behind it tell me the timing is tight.
It's exciting and scary at the same time because there's a good chance we'll have been open by just a week or two.
KC is the smallest of the 11 U.S. host cities, so the hotel owners say they expect many will be looking for rooms outside of the core city as well.
So it has to branch out to Topeka, Lawrence, even as far as Columbia.
Now might just be a good time to book if you're looking for a better deal.
A lot of people are last-minute buyers, but we do know that the demand is going to be more than the supply.
Question is, the demand is more than the supply. How much more are they going to be asking for these rooms?
You know, you can expect those to go and probably skyrocket in a lot of those places, especially if that hotel, fingers crossed, does open right before the games too. But to sweeten the deal for your everyday person that normally, that man I interviewed has several Airbnbs, but for anybody, they're offering a discount on short-term rental permits here in Kansas City so they can open up even more space ahead of June.
You got to imagine that some of these folks that have these Airbnbs in some of these cities where the World Cup is coming are kind of like, you know what, I may have hit the jackpot. Because we did a story, we've had the Super Bowl here twice, Olivianna, and we talked to some folks that were like, you know what, they were seeing dollar signs in their eyes thinking that this is going to be their kind of get-rich-quick scheme.
100%.
Yeah.
Get-rich-quick scheme.
100%. Moving back into the parents' basement is probably not what everyone's trying to do. But if you're going to make that kind of money, I probably would too.
Yeah. I grew up in Utah, and we had the 2002 Winter Olympics there when I was in high school. And they basically closed the school down for the entire time. And we had neighbors down the road that rented out their house. They did the same thing. They went and stayed with relatives and rented their house out and made a ton of money.
Absolutely. And, the games will be coming to...
They were.
Yeah. But we have the big FIFA games coming, and they'll be in LA. I know a little bit different, but that's driving distance from the Phoenix area. I can only imagine what we'll be seeing here because, again, these large events, that's what creates revenue.
Yeah, the economic impact Visit KC was telling me is just really unlike anything they've expected and had before. So they're super, super excited. Also, you know, to get people into this area in the Midwest, they probably maybe haven't come to the Midwest before, some people. So it's a good time.
All right, Olivianna,
Awesome.
we appreciate it. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, switching gears. We told you we had a jam-packed show for you today.
We do.
We're switching gears.
We
here.
have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Well, no, then we'll have a break.
No, and then we'll have a break.
So talk as fast as you can, Kat.
I'm on it.
Kate, you were here when last time?
About a month ago.
On Zoom, right?
Yeah.
No, I was here.
No, she was here.
I was here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was also crazy. It was another crazy day.
It was a crazy day.
And
Yeah.
you have a very interesting title as well.
Yes, I am. So my business is the Scottsdale Matchmaker. So I am a local matchmaker, dating coach, and dating stylist.
I just want to know how someone becomes a matchmaker.
Oh, we only have how many minutes?
We have a minute left.
We have a minute until the break.
It's really a magical story. I got into this business because it found me, because of the relationship that I have with my husband. The people in my life were watching me date as a single mom, navigating my own life with my 2 kids, and saw me date and found my now husband. And so the people in my life were like, how did you do that? How did you figure that out? And I was like, oh, I cracked the code. And so I want people to have what I have. And so I help people skip the line and figure it out.
Oh, skip the line.
That's right.
Skip the line to love.
That's right.
So if anyone in the chat has questions about dating, relationships, we'll be talking
Navigating
about
it all.
Yeah, then we'll take a 2-minute break in a minute, and then we'd love to post some of your questions. Going into the new year, what is the toughest thing now
got
that
10 seconds.
people have? No, we have a minute.
Oh.
Okay. 1 minute.
Kat,
that's why I said 2.5 minutes.
We're off our game today. Well, we're both. Yeah.
I think you guys are doing great. You're fabulous.
Going into the new year, what is the toughest challenge people will be facing with relationships?
I think going
1 minute.
Yes. So I think the biggest challenge is putting high expectations upon dating in general and yourself. I think that there's a lot of pressure that singles have, especially after the holidays, where they're like, why are you still single? Or why haven't you found anybody yet? And so it can be this really heavy weight on singles' shoulders where they're like, why haven't I figured it out yet? And so I think that that's probably the biggest challenge, is being in a space where it's accepting your singleness and then moving forward, of looking at it in a space of clarity and assurance that you're going to find the right person.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 2.
Okay.
All right, welcome back, you guys. We are with Cat. She is a matchmaker here in the Valley. And we were kind of talking about this because we're kind of in that perfect sandwich. Because some folks made New Year's resolutions to get back out there and maybe start dating again. And then we have Valentine's Day coming up in a month from today, which I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So this is kind of that perfect time for maybe those folks that were looking for those New Year's resolutions to get back out there to do so. But I wanted to talk about kind of the confidence it takes to put yourself out there, because we were kind of talking before you came out here about, it seems like folks on both sides, the men, the women, are not communicating with each other like they used to.
You know why?
That's right.
Right here.
Yep. And I think it's not only that, well, yes, I think that is a huge part of it, because when you think about back in the 80s where you used to have to, or the 80s or 90s, you used to have to meet somebody, you had to get out of bed, you had to shower, you had to dress nice, you had to smell nice, you had to get in your car, you had to go to the place, and then you had to approach or be approached over and over and over again.
I like that you said smell nice. Well, that is very important.
Why you say that?
That is.
I have my breath spray with me.
That is incredibly
important.
Yes.
But not too much.
Yeah.
A nice balance.
Yeah. But I mean, that's such an excellent point, because now when you are either working from home,
right,
or you're dating online,
yes,
because that's what some people do, that's how they get to know each other,
yes,
you don't have to make that effort. I tell my husband all the time, even though we're married and we've been together for so many years, you have to make the effort.
You do. And people, online dating has made it really easy to not. You don't have to be, because all of that means you have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to put yourself online, yes, there's a certain vulnerability piece to it, but people are now so conditioned and so afraid of being vulnerable, so much to the
point where... Why
do
you think that is, though?
I think it's just, it has slowly over the last couple of decades we have made it so easy to where we don't experience pain anymore. And vulnerability,
kind of insulate ourselves.
That's right. And vulnerability means that we're putting ourselves out there to possibly experience pain. And so people don't want to experience pain, and so they try everything they can to find dating hacks or look for the red flags. And I always tell people, don't go in looking for everything wrong. I want you to go in and look for everything right.
Switching your perspective.
So take us back to when you met your husband.
Yeah.
And how you met your husband. What did you do then? What's the formula?
So it's a couple of different things. First is that you have to have enough clarity and intention with dating. Not, I'm just going to put myself out there and just see kind of where it goes. Versus putting yourself out there being like, I'm here, I'm dating with intent to hopefully find my person. So that's the first piece. The second piece is that live the life that you want somebody to look at and be like, their life looks like a lot of fun.
I want to be with that person.
I want to be with that person. So if you are out there dating and you don't have hobbies and you don't have interests and you don't have a full life for yourself, that would be my first assignment. Like, join the local meetup, go out there to happy hour, get a couple of friends and go hiking. Do things that are going to create texture in your life, so that when you go to create your profile, you have all of these photos where people are like, oh, wow,
look what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
I always say get a dog, because no, listen, we'd go shopping,
right?
And my husband would sit outside of the store with the dog, and I would go in to return, and I would come out, and there'd be all these ladies surrounding him, and they're petting the dog, and then they're talking to him about the dog, and he always says to me, he's like, gosh, if I were single, I'd have a dog. Because that's how you start talking
dog
to people.
Park.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to find, maybe that is a key too, is finding kind of maybe those things you have in common.
Yes, 100%. So because I always tell people that online dating is only one way to meet somebody. Another great way to meet somebody is to do something that you love and to find somebody else who also has that passion for whatever that is. And but that's just only one part of the equation. The other part is that you have to approach. You have to make the effort.
Yeah.
And just like the dog, I always tell people a great way to walk up to somebody is being like, oh my gosh, I really like your tennis shoes. Where did you get those?
Yeah.
Very easy, non-threatening. And it doesn't really talk about their appearance necessarily, but you're like appreciating their style. And somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, I really
well, I'm a runner. Are you a runner?
That's exactly right.
Couple of different comments that we have. You have to make the effort. That's right. Where it's at. Communication and honesty. Yep. Also, really reduce demands on your partner, and things will run smooth. Be real, the real you. And yeah, never go out thinking, oh, okay, let's go out and see what happens. They're asking about that, so don't be open to that. You have to go out with a plan,
with your own intent.
Okay.
And what you're looking for. I think people put pressure on the connection, not with their intent. So I think that you should go with an open mind and an open heart to see how the connection goes. We have a saying, don't be attached to the outcome. So go into the date being like, I'm going to meet somebody new. I'm so excited. I'm going to learn something about myself and walk with, instead of going in being like, oh, I hope this is my soulmate. Oh, this person looks great on paper. Go into it being like, I'm going to meet somebody new and I'm going to have a great time.
Could be a friend, could be a lover.
That's
could
right.
Could be a soulmate.
That's right. You never know.
So kind of, I guess, tamp expectations a little bit?
Yes. Expectations. I always tell people to stop assuming, stop having expectations on the connection, that the only ownership that you have is how you are showing up to the date.
How many dates do you give it before you know it's a yay or nay?
I always tell people I have what I call a 2-3-5 formula.
Oh.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. So the two stands when you go on a date. There's two things that I want you to pay attention to. Number one, what version of myself comes out around this person, and do I like this version? Because people do bring out different sides of us.
Okay.
And the second question that you ask yourself, am I curious to know more about this person? Because I always tell people, replace the word chemistry with curiosity, because you want to be with a partner that you're curious about, that what's going on. Tell me the things, and you want to be with somebody that you're constantly in this state of exploring more about them. The 3 stands for give it 3 dates. So as long as you like the answer to those 2 questions, you want to give it 3 dates. And if the end of the 3rd date, it still isn't there, sometimes that's the thing about matchmaking that we always can't predict, is that magic.
That chemistry.
That's right. So if it's not there after 3 dates, then yes, you can cut your ties and part as friends. And the 5 stands for understanding what your 5 core values are. Because when compatibility factors and what we're talking about, understanding what the 5 things that are really important to you, understand what those 5 things are. And as long as that person is aligned with those 5 core values, give it a shot.
I love it. Kat, how do we get more information? If folks are watching, they want to get more information from you.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, scottsdalematchmaker.com, or you can follow me. I give dating advice all the time on TikTok at Cat Cantrill.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, we'll tune in.
Kat,
Thank you so much.
To see you again. Happy New Year.
Appreciate it.
We'll have you come back again. That was fun.
All right, next guest, right?
All right, we're moving things along. We have Janet Evans. Janet, good morning.
Hi, Janet.
We're just waiting for the audio. Give us 1 second. It's not on your part. It's on ours. We got you.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a delay on our end. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're talking about the Olympics. How exciting.
So exciting. Yeah.
Janet,
are we good?
We're good. We're good to go. Yeah. Janet, give us a little bit of your background, because you have I looked at your bio, Miss. Very impressive. For folks that don't know, give us your background.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling me Miss instead of ma'am. I appreciate that. I am an Olympic swimmer. I swam in the Olympics a very, very long time ago. My first games were in 1988. My last games were in Atlanta here at home in 1996. And I'm currently the chief athlete officer at LA 28, the organizing committee for the Olympic and Paralympic Games that are coming to the western part of our country, Los Angeles, here in just a couple of short years. So excited to be talking to you all.
This is going to be so much fun. And I think it's kind of cool because we consider ourselves your neighbors here in Arizona.
Absolutely.
And it's a quick car trip. And this is kind of the time where folks need to maybe start planning, because the tickets, to get tickets for some of these games, opens up very soon.
Yes, it does. And you are our neighbors, and you are very close. So you're a part of what we're doing. And we're excited to welcome our fans from Arizona as well to our games. So today marks the first day of our ticket registration, which runs through March 18th. And the best analogy I have is today through March 18th, you can RSVP to the wedding. You don't need to get your credit cards out. You don't need to decide what tickets you want to buy. And there's not a rush anytime before March 18th. And then after that, there will be a lottery system to be entered into a day and a draw to go online and purchase your tickets. So you will hear from us after you register, and then you will hear from us when you have been selected for a spot to buy those tickets. The great news about LA 28 is we want to welcome fans and have accessibility for everyone. So we will have 1 million tickets that are priced at $28, and 30% of our tickets will be priced at $100 and less. Wow. So, as an Olympian, and you see a bunch of Olympians here at an event we did yesterday at the Coliseum, as an Olympian, it's important for us and Paralympians to have fans in the stands that want to cheer for us, that are home countries. And so we really want fans to be able to attend our games and not only inspire our athletes to great things, but inspire themselves, right? Everyone loves the Olympic and the Paralympic movement because we're not all going to be Olympians or Paralympians, but we are going to be inspired to go out and do great things. And that's what we're so excited for here in Los Angeles.
I'm so glad that you touched on that, because we all love watching the Olympics on television, but you all, the athletes, can't necessarily hear us cheering for you at home. And that's why it's so important to try to fill the stands. No matter what the event is, we want to cheer on our American or USA athletes.
Yeah. It's so true. And, what's interesting is, everyone says to me, well, I'm going to get tickets for, name your favorite sport. A lot of swimming, a lot of gymnastics, a lot of track and field. But I always say, but save a couple of tickets and go to a sport you might not know about. Right. We have some new additions to the Olympic program this year. We have squash, we have flag football, and like venture out and see these sports, because those athletes, they want to have those fans in the stands too. But I also think that's a way to discover new sports and become fans of different and exciting sports that we might only see during the Olympic and Paralympic years. And so, I'm like, you can do swimming, of course, and there's going to be a lot of tickets for swimming. We have 35,000 seats in our stadium for swimming. We're doing it at the stadium where the Rams and the Chargers play. We're dropping 2 50-meter pools into that stadium. So that's great, but go see some badminton, go see some fencing, go see some squash, and support those athletes too, because they're incredible athletes as well.
Janet, we have about a minute left. Where do you keep your medals, and do you let people touch them and or put them around their neck if they want to?
I keep my medals at my parents' house, actually.
Oh, really?
But the great thing about my medals is that they're meant to be touched and handled. And many years ago, I handed a gentleman my gold medal, and he said, "Oh, this is kind of like dented, and the ribbon is like black, like so many people have touched it." And I said, "Well, that's
loved.
The point, right?
Yeah. It's loved. It's well loved.
If I wasn't sharing my medals, what's the point?" So I love my medals, have a lot of wear, the gold's starting to come off, but that's the whole point. And that's what Olympians do. We want to share. We want everyone to be inspired by what we did all those years in the pool or in the gym. And so I love sharing my medals. And I love the idea that in 28, we're going to award a lot more of those medals, and those athletes are going to go forth and inspire as well. So it's a great full circle moment for me.
Thank you, Janet. We'll put all the information to get tickets up on our website. Thanks so much for joining us.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Have a great day.
Bye, Janet. We'll see you at 28.
LA 28, you guys.
All right. That's it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, give me a second.
Good morning to all of our Fox 10 talkers. It's a beautiful day, Wednesday, hump day.
It is, right? We're almost there.
This is fun, something a little different. I'm jumping in Ron's spot this morning.
Yes.
So you got me and Des the next 30 minutes
a beautiful
to spend your morning with us.
Downtown Phoenix.
I know.
This morning. I'm loving the cooler temps.
It was chilly this morning enough to see my breath, and I kind of liked it. It's
like,
cold enough to wear a coat.
Where are we?
But I'm not paying attention to the high of the day because I will be home by then.
Yeah.
75, chilly mornings, beautiful days.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Perfect way to start. But we don't have much to complain about. It's still the best
our weather is gorgeous. No snow, no shoveling, no icing the windows, all those things.
Yeah.
So
remind me where you're from again.
California.
Oh, okay.
Southern
so you're
California.
not shoveling snow either.
No. But I lived in Georgia for a while and it was freezing there. We got snow a little bit, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're so glad that you guys are staying with us here through the morning. So we're going to jump right into our 11:30 half hour here, and we're glad you're hanging with us until noon. And this story that we're going to talk about next is just devastating. Obviously, it has captured headlines for quite some time now. And again, one of our top stories in our newscast this morning in relation to some new information we're getting about the Baptiste case.
Yeah, we've I've covered this since the very beginning. I mean, months and months now. 10-year-old Rebecca Baptiste passed away last year. And just to kind of warn anyone that doesn't know about this story, it's just heartbreaking. Precious little girl right there. She was just 10 years old. Both her father and his girlfriend are on trial charged with her murder. So that trial is expected to start this summer, but it's just a heartbreaking story. She was a little girl going to school here in Phoenix. The parents moved her and her siblings very far from Phoenix, but that's what makes it local. She was going to school here, and a lot of these police reports, calls to DCS, were all happening here in Phoenix. But the newest information, we've put in request initially when she first passed away with Phoenix, on a local level, a state level. And
remind us, when did she pass?
She passed away last July. She passed away at Phoenix Children's Hospital, but we know that the days leading up to her death, the family had moved the children out of Phoenix. So they were living in a very, very remote area, about 4 hours northeast of Phoenix, with no hospital around. So there was a call made to 911 that the little girl was not breathing. There was no CPR given to her, no help given to her. And so when deputies met with the parents and the little girl was passed on to them, they knew that there was something else involved. So the newest information that we've gotten in this case comes from Phoenix PD back in April of 2025. So Rebecca passed away in July. So this is a couple months prior. After the children had missed several days of school, the school had actually called concerned. Officers went to the house and Rebecca had a black eye. She was asked about it, and she was told that she was kicked by a ball at a birthday party. There were a lot of red flags in the home with the other children as well. And investigators at the time ruled that the explanation for that black eye was, quote, plausible.
Yeah,
so that was,
at the time, given everything we know now, it seems absurd, but maybe believable at the time. I mean, kids play rough, and maybe that at the time, like they said, was plausible.
Yeah, I think what's hard is if you look at either police reports or DCS reports on a page by page, like separating them, you understand, you see, oh, this was one time. But then where it raises red flags is when you line up all of these reports, I mean, dozens of them.
I know. And I'm looking at some of the notes from the Arizona Department of Child Safety, and there's a summary report in here that kind of walks through pieces of the case here. And you're right. When you see them in a list, you wonder how many red flags they missed. I mean, we have a report from August of 2015, May of 2016, October 17, March of 2019, 2021, there was a report in July, November 2023, 24.
Dating back
like
8
it's
years.
wild.
Yeah. from the time, her and her siblings were born. DCS was involved. And so that's where people are like, what needs to change going forward? Could this have been prevented, this little girl's death? I sat with her teachers and principal at her school here in Phoenix, and they called for help many times, but a school can't really get involved. They felt like they did as much as they could have done.
Right. Well, I do find it fascinating that now, given what has happened to her, obviously devastating, we hope that some reform and change comes from this.
Definitely.
There is a bipartisan child abuse task force that has since been formed to look at how all of these red flags were missed. So this does not happen again.
Exactly.
We don't want to see a case like this happen.
Yeah.
again.
And it's moving. Things are moving quickly. They're expected to have set a trial date for this summer. So hopefully, justice not only for Rebecca and this sweet 10-year-old little girl, but change going forward.
Absolutely. So obviously it's a story that we are not letting go. We will follow all the way through. Your reporting has been great on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Another top story from this morning relates to a turquoise alert. Many of you here in the Valley, did you get the alert come through on your phone this morning?
Freaks you out.
Yeah, right? Very loud, very jarring. I was, still making some of my commute into work early this morning when that came out. But right now, we continue to keep eyes on this turquoise alert that was issued here in the state. So some information that we have coming from DPS and Avondale Police asking for everyone across the state to be on the lookout for Isabella Comis. So here are some photos here that law enforcement is sharing of her. So to walk you back, this all started on Sunday afternoon. Investigators tell us that 21-year-old Isabella here was last seen Sunday afternoon. Her friend reported her missing when she didn't pick her up for work like she normally would. And I think that would be alarming if you and your friend have a routine down. And this is something you normally do. You
can't get a hold of her or haven't heard from her. Definitely concerning there.
Absolutely. And then things worsen, though, when Isabella didn't report to work herself on Monday. So eventually, obviously, now law enforcement getting involved at that point, they were able to track her cell phone. So they found the cell phone. And then they found her vehicle as well. That was discovered. And that's what you're seeing here. And then the description of her, she is a Hispanic female. So if you can keep your eyes out, about 5'3", 110 pounds. She has brown eyes. And you can see she experimented with her hair here. She has bright pink hair. So
can't miss that. If you do see her, definitely call Avondale Police. They're the ones investigating this. But I think obviously it's concerning that this goes back to Sunday and here we are on Wednesday. Yeah. So I'm sure she has friends and family that are worried about her.
Absolutely. So let's do our best. Let's keep our eyes out and try to get her home. Hopefully, she is safe, somewhere safe. Our next big story from this morning as well. The first major trial over sexual assaults by Uber drivers. That's underway right now in Arizona federal court.
This is a really big one. Excuse me. We did a couple stories about Uber around, especially New Year's. A lot of people taking Ubers or ride shares. And there's that concern of you're getting in the car, you don't know the driver. And now not only are they driving you in this space that you might not have control as a passenger, but now they know your home address.
And especially as a woman, right?
Yeah.
It really is scary sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
to be a woman.
Cases just like this one, they've made Uber specifically have to change some of their safety features. So this lawsuit, it was brought on by an Oklahoma woman, and she says that she was assaulted by her Uber driver in 2023. So this is not a new thing that's been happening. 2023, 3 years ago, she says that Uber was aware of the wave of sexual assaults committed by its drivers, but failed to take basic action to improve the safety of its riders. So obviously we're seeing that change now. I know, especially in this new year, Uber now has a code system that you have to put in with your driver. There's actually a new feature that they've rolled out in a few cities, Phoenix being one of them, that female riders can request a female driver, which I thought is so interesting. I mean, it's not eliminating things.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it just, you can't, it's no rider's fault, but you are getting in a car with a stranger. So,
and Uber is kind of arguing, well, it's not necessarily our fault.
Yeah,
either.
I mean, but look at this: about 3,000 similar lawsuits. That's not like 3 or 300. I mean, 3,000. It's scary to think that. I mean, there could be people that I'm sure there's incredible Uber drivers, but people that are preying on people as well.
And I think as a big company, like they say, they've put in some safety measures. So Uber is arguing, saying that they don't have that liability for criminal conduct that their drivers take part in. But they say that they do their background checks, they disclose any information about assault. But that number we just talked about, 3,000 cases you have here, you think, you know what, maybe as a company, there's something more we can do.
So I think the new safety features are a big thing. And I think it's for rideshare apps across the board, whether it's Uber or whether it's Lyft. You have this element of a random person driving you. And a lot of people, I mean, I've done stories on this. It's why a lot of people prefer Waymo.
I was going to say,
don't have a driver.
We have Waymo here, and not a lot of cities do.
Yeah,
so we do, and you can utilize that as well.
Yeah, you're giving up control in terms of the driving aspect. That's one side of things, but safety, it does make people, it kind of removes that element.
You got to put a little faith in robots and a little AI technology for sure. So we're going to try to get in one more story before the break here. President Trump is telling Iranian protesters right now that help is on the way. We had a report from Douglas Zader this morning. Here is his report. Take a look.
There are new threats from the Iranian government against protesters this morning, but we could be coming up on the moment that many in that country have been waiting for, and U.S. support could be a critical factor. In Iran, the protests and the price. A makeshift morgue as the death toll mounts. And now Iran's judiciary chief is promising quick trials and executions for those arrested.
And by the way, to all Iranian patriots, keep protesting.
And President Trump yesterday in Detroit to focus on the economy, but talking about Iran too. Just hours earlier, as administration officials debated strategy at the White House, the president posted this: "I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way." It isn't clear if that help will come from the Pentagon or in other kinds of support for the protesters, but the president promised justice.
I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price.
I think we need to take care to make sure that we don't overstep our boundaries.
There's some concern on Capitol Hill about the unintended consequences if the regime, in fact, falls.
We have come to the point where people are just fed up with this regime.
Iran's exiled crown prince, who fled the country nearly 50 years ago as the '79 revolution took hold, says a new government could rise.
That's where he ended things early this morning. Here's the mystery cam. Get your guesses in. We're going to send you off to a quick break. right. All right. I'm going to open all of our mics. Zach, yours will be open too. All right. Welcome back. So we do have a few guesses in our chat this morning. Thomas Brown is thinking this might be Ohio.
We got Missouri in there as well. Any other last minute guesses you guys want to throw in? I think this, the monument we're looking at has to be iconic for a certain city.
Let's not lie, Kenzie. We were both saying we should probably know this.
The chat will help us out.
Well, we have a few guesses for Ohio. So we had Thomas
Georgia.
Brown and Louis Gonzalez. Yep. And then we've got 2 for Georgia, Little Philosophy and Jennifer.
Might be leaning more Ohio than Georgia.
And those are in two different places. Two very different
Wherever
places,
it is, it looks cold. The trees are, a beautiful day, obviously, but the people walking around are bundled up.
Mm-hmm. Because it's still so green, I think I'm going to go ahead and guess Georgia with Little Philosophy and Jennifer. And you guys, we also have our next guest here with us already, Zach Pope. We're going to walk through some of the top rated movies and things he's keeping an eye on this year. Zach, do you want to give a guess?
Honestly, I was going to say Georgia. Once I saw the live chat saying that, I was like,
I know, right?
It might be Georgia. I have friends who live there, and that's kind of the weather that they're talking about right now. So I think that would be my guess too. But Ohio was a good one. I didn't think about that one.
Yeah. I wouldn't have went there.
I feel like it's in the Midwest somewhere.
Okay. What's your guess? And then we'll let you
I'll go Ohio of what's in the comments. I don't think Georgia.
Okay.
I'm very interested.
All right, we got another guess for Georgia coming in. Linda, right there late in the game. All right, well, we're going to go ahead. I'll bring us up on a 3-shot.
The grand reveal.
We have
Mystery cam number 2, everyone. Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. Not Ohio,
you know what's funny?
not Georgia.
When you guys asked me prior, I was thinking of like an MS state. I was like, maybe Mississippi,
you were
maybe
close.
something like that. But I was like, I don't know. Because then I saw the chat saying Georgia, and I was like, it got in my head for that.
Right.
So.
I'm sure Kansas City Chiefs fans would know.
Yeah.
But I guess
we'll have to look that up.
The three of us were
not. It is. Dave, do you know what monument that was? Yeah, let's say hi to Dave. We haven't said hi to Dave in a while. Good morning.
Hi, friends.
How are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic.
Hi,
Thanks for checking in. So excited to learn about the movies that Zach Pope is most excited to see in January.
I know. And I found this. You're a tomato meter approved critic.
Yeah.
How do you get that?
I know.
It took a long time. I applied multiple times to get on Rotten Tomatoes to get my reviews counted towards that score. And then I think I think my first thing was Oppenheimer, actually. Like immediately after Oppenheimer had come out, they had finally approved me, and that was my first review that I was able to post.
Wait, so what do they take into consideration?
A lot of things. It's experience, time, your numbers, your data that you have for your subscribers, and then just like what you've done in the industry. And then I think a little bit of it might be of like who you know. I definitely had quite a few friends that know a lot of people that work there, and they just kept giving me feedback, and I just kept working at it every single year.
Okay. What is it for you in a movie? I mean, it's one of those things, it's subjective. Someone might like a movie and someone might not, but I do think when it comes to, Rotten Tomatoes, you go on there and you're looking at that, rating.
And it weighs into people's decisions.
Yeah, and it's tough because when you do go in there, what they tell us, just like a little bit inside ballpark is, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is we get 2 choices. Would we recommend it or would we not?
Wow. I would think it's like a scale rating.
No, it's literally 2 choices. And sometimes that's tough because I've seen some movies where I'm like, not for me at all. Yeah. But my wife, my mom, my sister-in-law, my sister might love this movie, but not for me.
Yeah.
And
so then what do you do on there? If it's a yes or a no?
I think it depends if I did somewhat enjoy it. Yeah. And I kind of weigh like, what are my pros and cons? Because if I personally liked it, I'll always go, I would recommend this. But I think that's where it's like, what I would recommend with Rotten Tomatoes is when you're looking at those reviews, actually click on the review, read it, watch it, and see what the person said. Because some of the like little taglines that people put in there, it's like, oh, I kind of liked it, but I wouldn't fully recommend it, and they give it a rotten score. So it's tough sometimes. Like I've given some reviews where I was mixed on the movie, but when I ended up putting it on there, I ended up not recommending it. So it's a very interesting thing, but
That's
I always recommend going through there, because that's what I happen to do now. Is sometimes I'll go read other reviews for films that I missed and be like, okay, like this had a bad score. Let me see why it had a bad score. And it's interesting, because sometimes I like the movies that have bad scores.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. I'm so excited to see this first one that you have on your list. My husband, we were talking about it this morning. It's on our list. This looks so good.
The Rip, yes. So I will say, I actually did get to see it last night. I'm not legally allowed to say my thoughts on the movie yet.
Okay.
But I will say this was one of my most anticipated movies for this year, because it's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
I love the combination.
And, you know, they've started this production company a couple years back where they're just making movies that they want to make. They made Air a couple years back, which was about the Michael Jordan deal with getting the shoe deal, which didn't think that was going to be interesting. Very fascinating, very entertaining. And The Rip is seemingly to be the same thing. It's very much feels like a movie that would have been made in the 80s or 90s. And what I love about this type of style of movie is that it's more leaning towards a mystery than just straight up action. And when you get a movie that has kind of like those genre twists, that's what intrigues me. But when you have Matt Damon and Ben Affleck acting, that's just a great choice, because you know, we know them from the heydays of like Good Will Hunting and things like that. And this was, again, one of my more anticipated movies for this year just for that. This was actually, I think, on my, like, when I did my top 25 list on my channel, this was the only Netflix movie that made the total.
The teaser, it grabs you anyways. But to your point, I mean, having those two as the lead, you know they're going to be in something good, right? And I think, especially nowadays, if someone's going to sit down for 2 hours and watch a movie, like, I want it to be good. I don't want to waste 2 hours.
When you say that, I automatically assume it's going to be good, because look at these actors that are involved. But Zach, you might know the answer to this. Denzel came out, was it a Netflix movie very recently? Where he was a businessman and his son got tangled up. And
I think it's called Highest to Lowest, maybe. Yes.
I'm thinking going to be great because it's Denzel. I had to jump out in like the first 10 minutes. It was so...
Not for everybody, I personally didn't really care for it either. I know what you're talking about, but I mean, that's sometimes what streaming movies. I think streaming movies, a lot of actors and directors and writers are allowed to take a little bit more of a risk, because it's not going to theaters. It's not for a profit. It's let's throw it on streaming and see what people think of. And I think that's where we see a lot of the most experimental stuff that maybe won't hit theaters. And sometimes we see a little bit of generic stuff too hit it. But I think this is one of those movies that maybe wouldn't have performed well in the box office, but I think on streaming, that's where it's going to find like its game plan.
So The Rip comes out when?
This weekend, actually, on Netflix.
Okay. Yes. All right, let's get to the second one you have here, and that is?
Mercy. So this is...
Oh, you want to go to Mercy? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Mercy. Chris Pratt plays a detective in the near future who is now accused of killing his wife, and he has put on a 90-minute trial to prove his innocence to an AI judge. In a world of AI, this could be eerie. Exactly. And that's kind of why I put this on here, because it's not something that I think typically comes out in January. And I am actually really interested to see how this plays out. Some of the producers involved did a lot of cool things with movies that are like found footage but since this isn't found footage and it's more dealing with AI, I'm seemingly leaning towards wondering how this is going to go, especially with like our world and how AI is just introduced into everything we do now. And of course it's Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson. Rebecca Ferguson for me is like one of the most underrated actresses out there in Hollywood. And Chris Pratt, I think, is just kind of like started to show that he's more than just the funny or charismatic guy. Like he has some
more
really
than just
good...
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly. Like he has those dramatic chops. Like he has that show on Prime that I can't remember, Terminal List, where he's really good in that show, and I would have never expected him to be in a role like that.
I like him.
I think the AI element in itself is just eye-grabbing to people. I mean, even when you saw in the teaser, the cops, their motorcycles are hovering and not touching the ground.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, wait, are we going to see that one
around
day?
the corner?
Could it be?
We've seen some AI in our courtrooms here in Phoenix. So, I mean, presenting your case to an AI judge, I mean, especially on a murder trial, that is... interesting. I want to know what happens.
To throw in, the movie's actually going to be, you can go and see it in 3D. I guess that's something that the director is actually really pushing. I know most people just go see Avatar in 3D, and that's like the only movie. But like to hear another movie is like testing the waters with 3D. I'm really curious to see how it looks in 3D, because I don't know if you guys went and saw Avatar or have seen the Avatar movies in 3D. I'm usually not a fan of 3D, but like the way James Cameron shoots it like blows my mind and like visually brings me in. It's like one of the few movies that doesn't give me a headache from 3D effects.
I feel like we haven't seen 3D as much in the last 5
I feel like, and I can't even remember the last 3D movie.
I'm thinking of like, I think I saw like Toy Story with the
But
glasses.
I remember thinking to myself, like, wait, what's 3D about this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's not like jumping.
It's interesting when like directors attempt and try it. Sometimes it feels like a gimmick, and sometimes it's actually like for the film itself.
Okay. Well, we've got about 2 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get the last one in here, and that's Send Help. What's this one about?
So this one is about 2 coworkers. One's like the major boss, one's kind of the assistant. They hate each other. Doesn't work out the best, and they end up crash landing on a business trip on an island. They're the only survivors, and it kind of has
the worst.
Yes, but it kind of has a misery vibe to it. If you guys ever seen that Kathy Bates movie back in the day, based on the Stephen King novel, where she knows how to survive on an island, and she hates her boss, and she has to take care of him. How does that play out? It's directed by Sam Raimi, who's most notably
humbling
known
for him, huh?
Yeah,
very much. It looks wild, but the director's what has me really engaged with this one. He directed Evil Dead and, of course, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. So to see him coming back to do more of an original type of horror thriller, especially in January, I'm intrigued to see how this one plays out.
Wow. Does our chat have any questions for Zach, just in terms of, movies this year?
I wonder, let's keep up with the Buddha Sheep saying America is behind the times on 3D movies. What do you think of that,
I think for the most part, I think American cinema could use what James Cameron's doing in the Avatar franchise and use it to enhance the stories, not just as gimmicks per se.
Yeah, same person said 3D is huge in Europe and Asia.
Exactly, yeah. I have a couple friends who live out there, and they always tell me about like certain films that play out there that are specifically just to them, and like they say the 3D effects are like insane.
And Mercy too is getting people in the chat to do some thinking here. We have Thomas Brown wonders, have you ever had the feeling that Hollywood is trying to tell us something?
I think so. I think sometimes they play out that, and it's always interesting how movies come around that same time spirit, and it's like, oh, we're kind of dealing with that right now and
they
then.
make you think.
Yeah.
Like, is this coming soon?
Yeah. And NH is Blood? That's your name? Okay, that's an interesting chat name. Are you new to the chat? Hello. But he says, why does Zach seem like he is there in spirit or a hologram? Kind of cool. Well, because you know why? Because Zach and I wore green today. This is
that makes so much sense. I didn't even think about that.
Did you notice that, Zach?
I did not until right now.
Zach is here in person, I promise.
Yes. I'm here too. I was like trying to keep the jacket closed. Zach, always a pleasure to have